Today I'm walking through my full workflow for lighting a product inside of Blender Octane. Most artists think product lighting is all about throwing in a bright HDRI or adding a bunch of area lights. But clean product renders actually comes from understanding scale, how Octane reacts to the light, and how the camera affects the whole look. So I'll show you how I set my lights, fine tune the camera, and then flush everything out with a nice clean comp. My name is Patrick LeVar. I've been learning Blender Octane for the past 5 years and sharing everything I know here on this YouTube channel, and I've also built one of the top Blender Octane communities, which you can join for free, links down below. Enough of the jibber jabber, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so we're breaking down a members file. It's gonna be like a jewelry render. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this in. This is the biggest ring I've ever seen. In rule number one, guys, when you're working in Blender Octane, actually any type of render engine, work to real world scale. It affects your lighting, affects everything. All right, I'm going to quickly jump over to our school Octane bot that we built for Blender. Are there any true benefits of working at real world scale in Octane? Here we go. Yes, working at real world scale ensures physically accurate lighting. So right there, guys, always work at real world scale is really going to help things out in the long run. And that's why, if you notice in my Blender startup kit file that I have available in my free community and in my paid community, I built in a reference. This guy, Denoise, he's about 6 foot. And even if you don't have that, a quick way you can do is just add in a default cube. If I go GZ1, and there it is. Use this because this is about 1 meter. Breaks down to 3.2 feet. So at least you know you've got this cube, which is 3 feet, all the reference you need to make sure you're building something to real world specs. And for those of you who are interested in downloading the free startup file in my Blender Octane, jump into the classroom Octane startup file right here. Inside of there, I've already have files set up and there are all the references you need. So first thing first, let's grab this ring and let's bring it down to, this thing is probably the size of a skyscraper. I'm gonna go ahead and select the cube, the select object, and we're just gonna scale this down, GZ it down, right? And matter of fact, which is gonna be really nice for a reference, I'm just gonna bring his hand right up to his hand, right? Just scale this down to something like that will be on his finger. So there, that's even better than what we were at before. All right, now we're back to somewhat of a real world scale. I'm gonna put this right here on the center. And now, like, you can tell, like, well, why is the grid is so crazy, right? So what I like to do when I'm working at this at a real world scale, we got all kinds of clipping viewport issues and things. Hit in, come up here to item or to view, and I turn the clipping all the way down. And this one I just add a bunch of zeros, but we don't need that. And then what I'm going to do is also change my grid. So come up here to the top, grid, and we're just going to scale that down. So I'll just scale it all the way down in this case. So now at least it doesn't feel so foreign that we're working at such a small scale, because now the grid kind of matches up to something smaller, right? There we go. So we're going to kind of just do a basic lighting setup like this. And then I might even possibly see how we can get the shadow catcher working here. We'll use a shadow catcher. I already got a camera in my scene, so I'm using one of my default setup scenes. Autofocus, turn that off. Maybe just grab my focal point right up on the ring, something like that. There we go. Jump back into the camera. Oh, yeah, I guess it was the depth of field was so crazy because we're working at real world scales now. So our depth of field is reacting how it should properly be. If you're using a 50mm lens with a 2.0 f-stop, that's crazy. And plus it's super small and we're probably going to be zoomed in. So let's go maybe a 50mm, 40mm, 22 lens, GY, maybe something like that. All right, kind of like that. So now what I'm going to do to get that look, it's already looking pretty decent with this HDRI lighting that we're using here. This is a default one that I have in the scene. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my world settings. Here I have this custom world setting. Basically, I have an HDRI setup, which is connected to an environment switch that allows me to switch from an environment lighting or a color environment. And then I have another one built for backdrop. So this is going to show me the HDRI, or if I want to change and have a different HDRI. And then this is going to be the color environment, and I can switch between these. So using these environment switches, I connected them both together to the world, so I can literally have multiple different types of combinations of lighting. So in this case, I want to use an HDRI possibly for lighting, but I want the color environment to just be white. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use the color white. I'm going to use this backdrop white here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this to 2. We jump back over. Now you see the backdrop went white, everything went white. And then as far as lighting, we're using an HDRI right now to light, but I'm gonna turn that off for now by going to maybe more than that. So it should be off, and that's everything off, right? And here's just our backdrop. our white backdrop there. Now what we can do is add in a plane. Make sure my camera's not active. Good. And our plane, right now, I'm not liking seeing that like that. Okay, good. Where's our plane at? Oh, there's our plane. Our plane is super small. Okay, so now let's add some lights. I'm just gonna add in a area light first. Come in here, grab a area light. And it's gonna be huge, right? Because we're working at such a small scale. It's massive. So what we're gonna need to do is bring these down to some real world spec. What I'm gonna do also is I'm gonna grab a constraint, track 2, and I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna click on the ring. So what that does is allows me to move our light freely, and it's always going to be aiming at our ring, which is nice. So I'm gonna bring that back, kind of something like that here. Again, working to real world scale, I like to bring in a real world scale as far as color. Black body emission, black body, bring that in here. And again, I can change this to 56. I can dial to whatever Kelvin scale color I want. So I'm gonna do that. And then right now it's pretty hot at 100. So let's knock that down to maybe like 50. Let's go in half, 50 watts. We probably don't need that much light on this. Now, if I jump back into our camera view, and then I can be able to move this light around and we can see what it's doing, right? It's nice. I'm gonna bring in a dome, a false background, right? Something like this, right? And again, this really doesn't need to be so big. And now what I'm gonna do is grab that plane, GZ it up. Actually, we might not need the plane, but for now, I'm gonna hide it. Let's hide it. I'm gonna grab this backdrop that we got here. Like, see how we have this shadow casting this weird line on here? We can fix that, but right now we kind of need it. So right now I'm just gonna keep this. I'm gonna cut it like that and maybe come at it more, get the top down, like a top light, almost forward lighting like that. Okay, so we kind of got something going like this. We can light that backdrop later. We don't really need to make it a shadow catcher unless we're going to export it out as a PNG or an alpha. We want it, then you can rebuild it. But right now, for the look we were trying to go, I think this is going to work. We'll leave that for now. And then what we could do is just start focusing on our lighting, because that's what this is all about. So we're going to need another light. And I might even make this light just a little bit smaller, back to my top view. It might be like a 3-point lighting here. Let's do one here. Shift duplicate. We'll come over here to the side. Actually, this is going to do almost like a full side light here. And this one's going to be a little bit larger, more softer. What we can do is shift duplicate another light, except for this light is going to be what we call in the industry a cyc light. And I'm going to put that up here. I'm going to take the constraint off, delete the constraint, and this is going to point straight down on our backdrop. And I'm going to go Control Z, scale that XY, right? And matter of fact, I'm going to bring it forward, GY, and then what we do is we go RX, aim it at the backdrop, and that's how we get that back out. In the cyc light, now we can control that. I'm going to make that a little bit brighter, 75. That's getting a good, nice wash out of our background. And there's our ring. Now, what we could do, these lights are still, I think, a little bit large, is let's start playing with some of our lights here. There's our cyc light, and then I'm going to turn off our top light. Play with this fill light for a minute here. Typically, it's better to bring these lights closer to your object. Now, if we want this to be evenly lit, you can see here it's kind of evenly lit on both sides. It's kind of evenly lit all the way around. So we could just do that too. I'm going to drag this same light, shift duplicate to the next side. Go to top view, G. Let's go to the front view, kind of giving it a mirrored setup almost in a sense. Okay, but it's looking a little bit too bright. And the more light we add, the brighter this floor is going to get. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this to 2. And I'm going to put this guy also to 2. And then we're going to click on the floor, which has no material. We should put a material on this. Pop open in. I'm going to put in a diffuse material. Then I'm going to come over here to my object and scroll down till we go to light pass mask. And we're going to click. Now you see we don't have any light. These lights are not being affected on the ground. So that did also, it's nice and lit, but what I'm going to do is bring back that top light now. Bring back that top light and let's kind of get the side views, kind of get this top light into play here. Might need to focus just on the ring right now. Get the ring where we want it lit. And the same thing on this one here. Let's add a 2. And then what we'll do is we'll take this light, duplicate it. This one's going to be floor light. And then this one, we'll turn this one back to 1. So this one's clearly just going to light the floor. I'm going to make it huge, nice big softbox light, drag it up. Let's go to the side view. And I'm just going to use its distance to kind of control how bright I want this floor to be. Maybe something like that. Let's turn our cyc light back on too. See if we're getting a nice even blend. Okay, that feels good. That feels a little bit better. Let me go ahead and save that. Now, let's jump into a bigger view of that. Okay, our ring does look a little blurry. So the focus, I'm going to need to knock down product photo. I mean, this is not about pretty depth of field. This is all about showcasing the ring. So we're just gonna crank those values up until we get that ring tack sharp. And how's that looking? The ring still does not look sharp to me. So I might stop using realistic camera. But you already see how much the real camera really plays with the light and how it bends it and stuff. Matter of fact, let me just go back to a standard blue camera. There's our aperture. Let's crank this up to 12. Or was it opposite values? 1. Can't remember. I haven't used it. Yeah, I guess it was down for sharpness. But look how bright everything got now that we're using this camera. Because the real camera has to, it calculates all like the diffraction and all of the lens distortions and vignetting, where this doesn't really attract or see like our dispersion or distortion. All of this is zeroed out. So, but in this case, this might be better. But now what we need to do is adjust our brightness because everything is changed. So I'm gonna do an easier way. I'm just gonna come over here, press N. I'm gonna go to my Octane camera imager. Just bring down my exposure. There we go. Bring down my exposure to something like that. Okay, that's looking kind of cool. Let me go back to my floor lighting. Let's grab our big floor panel here, our floor light, GZ. Probably bring that down just a little bit to get a little bit more brightness back in that floor. And our cyc light, we could probably just bring that down a little bit also too, give a little more bright. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 lights. Again, we're doing some light masking too, to kind of being able to isolate this ground that we want. Let me go ahead and save that, and let's go ahead and rip out a copy of that and see what we got. All right, so there's our first pass at it. And let me get a zoom in. Looking way more interesting than the actual, I mean, look at this reference image here compared to what we were playing with. Let's grab that. All right, here's our reference that we're referencing at. Like, this really feels CG, right? So what I could do now, like, I feel we can probably push it a little bit more as far as the brightness. Let's try. So let me come back here. And again, how would I do it in the real world? I would just expose up on my camera more, give me some more exposure, crank up my ISO a little bit more or something like that. And we're just gonna expose up a little bit more. I like that. Let's save that. And let's render that one more time. Now I think we went a little too far because it's like, yeah, I went a little too far. So I would probably back that back down to maybe, what was it, like 0.5, something like camera view 0.5. Yeah, and that diamond is definitely out of place. It's bugging me, but I'm not gonna worry about that. Right? Let's play with our highlight compression. It's at 50. I can crank that up. See, we're getting a little bit of that. See that difference? Let's bring some back in there a little bit, but I'm still gonna bring this down to maybe 0.6. And I don't want to have highlight compression all the way. See, that's with it off. That's why I leave it at. It's kind of about right there. All right, cool. And then what I would do quickly, post, I would literally just jump over here and do the rest in post. So come over to the compositor. I would load the compositor there, and then come over here and load it up. Make sure it's loaded here. Jump into here, turn it on, and you won't see it by default. You got to come to your AOVs. We're looking at the denoise pass. We want to look at AOV output, and that's where our AOV output is right there. And then this is what we're seeing. AOV output here. And why is that super blown out? Maybe turn off that render, turn it back on. Dude, I don't know why that's super hot like that. But so we're looking at fully denoise image. Why is that so hot? Let me bring in a, oh, because you know why? I think we're using camera imager. So if I come back in here, processing, legacy, oh, apply imager and post process. So I want the imaging because we're using the camera imager, right? So we had it at 0.6. There it is. That's still coming in a bit hot. 5. Oh, hot pixel remover set to, that's why all of our values are off now. So that was 0.6. And then I had the highlight compression. Yeah, see, there we go. Highlight compression was kind of around there. This is basically the same settings that we had. We just needed to mimic back. I like where that's at. Looks good. And then even the same with the post-processing. We could just add in those processing if we wanted to. Come in here like glare. We want to add some glare. I go hard first. We'll go like 50. Enable. And we're not seeing any. Why? Because up here in the AOVs, it's muted. Yep, it's muted. Press M. Okay, let's see if that works now. Let me go ahead and restart the render. I'm actually playing with cutoff, not cutoff. We don't want cutoff. We want bloom power. There we go, bloom power. Now I can do cutoff. And we're really not going to see it too much because we got that white background. There that is. Okay, so now as far as, actually I should do the top. Denoise first. Hang on, let me get the denoise going on here. Grab the denoiser. We're going to plug that into our second one. We're going to go layer group. I'm going to plug that into the second slot here. Add 3 slots. I'm going to take my denoiser. I'm going to plug it into number 2. I'm going to take a copy of this beauty pass and plug it into there because we want to mix the denoise with the noise. I'm going to set this to balanced. And then what I'm going to do is come in here and go to Albedo. We want to add in a blend, render AOV. Click on that. We want Denoise Albedo. Duplicate that, plug that into noise, normal, and then we want Denoise normal. And then on our third one, we want to add in opacity adjustment so we can get opacity of our dirty image. And I'm going to select those ones and I'm going to hit frame nodes. So that puts all of it in a frame. All right, then I'll put this number 3 back on top over here. Boom, there it is. So now we're looking at full denoise. If I come here and put that off, now we're looking at the dirty noise, but this render doesn't have a lot. So I'm just going to do that like 8%. Ooh, effect opacity occlusion. That made a huge difference. Maybe we should, and then let's just come back to our post processing. Let me grab these guys, frame them up, and then just kind of drag this on top. We don't need to see so much of that. Hang on, here we go. And let's kind of come back and just tweak our values a little bit like that. Cool. And if we wanted to, we can just continue on the post processing by just adding more channels. So you can come in here, maybe you want to add a, for example, adjust the contrast. We can add a contrast node here, Del shift, or see, you can bring some contrast into that. You got to be careful with these, be gentle because they're very strong. There, the contrast, and then let's add a little bit of color. I'll come into saturation, bring that on top. And again, very light, Del shift, just on, off, just to make it pop a little. Give me a little bit more pop, on, off, very subtle. All right. So that's basically how I would do some comping in this using Octane's comper, right? Here's our normal, here's our denoise, here's our post-processing, and then we can have these guys frame them up. Here is our extra stuff that we did on top, which